was Osaro Isokpan Jr., a visionary, passionate, transformative, and resilient professional, long graduate of the famous University of Hull, obtained postgraduate degrees from the Durham University Business School and Side Business School at the University of Oxford in England, serial entrepreneur, experienced, versatile, and people-friendly financial services management expert, team player, and industry icon, is a founder of Servicebreeder Limited, a global standard social impact digital service provider in Nigeria, and one of the most distinguished CEOs to look out for in 2026.
In my opinion, success in this environment revolves around certain fundamental pillars. I think the first of which is integrity, because trust goes a very long way to determine how far a business goes. It determines patronage, it determines continued business, it determines sustainability, it determines how much emphasis your clients can play on reliability of your venture with regards to whatever service it is that you offer. Beyond that, tenacity and resilience are imperative idiosyncrasies, and you really can't do very much here if you do not have a thick skin. Servicebreeder Limited was born out of a passion for quality customer service, born out of a passion for humanity, and set up with a view to improving the overall service experience by end users. Growing up as a legal practitioner and as a banker, I always wondered why there wasn't any overarching approach to reviewing service. I always asked myself growing up why businesses just go about their daily affairs without having an independent regulator, without having an independent arbiter to actually call out bad performance. As Nigerians, we're all very busy, we're all tasked with daily affairs, whether in the office, at home. Even housewives tend to be busy. It makes logical sense to have an independent entity that emphasizes quality of service. Our approach at Servicebreeder is focused on giving end users across the globe an avenue to actually give feedback, first and foremost, with regard to the offering that they've enjoyed or suffered. In other words, on our platform, we have a rating mechanism, and where you're impressed, where you are pleased with the quality of service, you can give a thumbs up and give a positive review, and vice versa, where there's a failure. And that's the area where we lay emphasis. There's every reason on this planet to highlight where a business has gone wrong. There are essentially three main reasons why this is key. First and foremost, so that they learn from their mistakes, because you wouldn't want anyone else to suffer such a failing. Secondly, it's important that they are accountable and they take up the responsibility of redressing grievances. It wouldn't make sense to suffer a grievance and just suffer an abeyance. It's imperative for every business to be given the opportunity to actually make a case, to explain why the failure took place to start with, and where possible to compensate or redress, as I stated earlier. The third reason why this is important is so that the overall ecosystem improves. At Servicebreeder, we have a Business Development Institute, which is essentially our training arm focused on service quality. Through the Business Development Institute, we emphasize training across different industries for SMEs as well as large corporates. We try to incorporate the basic tenets of service delivery across the different stratospheres of business. But beyond business development, our core focus at this point in time is our dispute resolution mechanism. Servicebreeder has a portal through which either party to a transaction, whether it is the end user or the service provider, can actually log into our portal and log a complaint about a failure of the end user to pay their bills, failure of the service provider, for instance, to actually do what they've been paid to do. There's an opportunity to actually attach supporting documents or evidence, as the case may be. And what we do is we have a team of spy-trained police officers and legal practitioners behind the scene that look into the affairs and actually reach out to both parties to try and arbitrate, or should I say mediate, and in the process reconcile issues. And the fact of the matter is that the average Nigerian is terribly busy. The average Nigerian doesn't always have the time to go and delve into issues or resolve issues. But whether you like it or not, these issues actually weigh on you as an individual. So the idea is to outsource your disputes to Servicebreeder, give us the opportunity to resolve issues between you and whoever the other party to the dispute is. So the Servicebreeder vision is essentially to be a one-stop shop for dispute resolution and for illumination of service offerings across the Nigerian stratosphere to start with. I would say that to a very large extent we've started to realize this vision, because on our platform today you are able to see in very clear terms which service providers are meeting basic expectations, because the feedback is clear. You're able to see which service providers are actually sensitive and responsible enough to redress grievances, because there's always a trail that will show you that there was this complaint and this was done about it. Beyond that, on our platform today, I think we have quite a number of satisfied people. We have approximately 50,000 registered businesses that we've onboarded, that we've taken time to actually onboard, and we've been able to resolve in excess of 150 disputes to date between numerous counterparts, large and small scale disputes. So I'd say it's been approximately 2.5 years since we took up this venture, and I would say we've come a very long way. Of course, we're far from break even. It's tough actually having such an entity out there, because the focus is not necessarily profitability. Our focus is on social impact. Our metrics is actually focused on asking ourselves how many Nigerian lives are impacted by Servicebreeder, how many people actually benefit, how many people sleep better, how many people have improved health as a consequence of our intervention. And feedback from clients is always a very, very exciting thing to receive. It's always good when someone reaches out to Servicebreeder essentially crying, and at the end of the disputes they're on top of the world. Between 2022 and 2026, we've seen a significant growth in registered users in terms of business platforms onboarded on Servicebreeder. At the moment, we have about 51,000 businesses onboarded. We're coming from less than 700 just 3.5 years ago. That's a very tall order. We've seen significant progress. More importantly, our platform is quite active. We get user engagement every hour. As a matter of fact, I would say that since inception, we've seen a fundamental growth in the number of disputes reported to us. We've also seen a lot of feedback in terms of ratings, in terms of comments, in terms of complaints on the platform. So suffice it to say, every business on our platform gets online real-time feedback, because the populace is very active. The end users are vocal. We're in the social media age, as you know, and most businesses actually suffer a lot of backlash out there. But on Servicebreeder, it's really a one-stop shop where we tend to aggregate feedback, and businesses at every point in time can actually ascertain how well they are doing or otherwise. Given my finance background, I tend to adopt a very prudent approach to business evolution, and as a consequence, I always emphasize organic growth. Servicebreeder started lean. We remain very lean, in as much as we have very, very bold plans. We have no expansionary strategy that's put in place to overstretch us. We intend to grow, we intend to expand as required, as necessary. We believe that the business case is self-justiciable, and as patronage increases, as the business grows, we will put in place the necessary processes. We have a very, very strict emphasis on corporate governance at Servicebreeder. We have very strict rule books, and we essentially do everything in compliance with our set out goals. First and foremost, the same way every arbiter or judge in a court of law redresses grievances or resolves issues or adjudicates justice. Not saying we're a judge here, but I'm trying to tell you that we are essentially in the position of an umpire. We try to be as independent as possible. We try to be as understanding of the issues outlined by both parties, working with facts, working with evidence. We ensure that every claim can be substantiated, and we put things out in very clear terms to both parties. So it's one thing to allege that a service provider has failed in a certain manner. It's another thing to be able to say so with facts, to say so with proof, to say so with evidence. We try as much as possible to work with facts. We work with evidence. We work extricating ourselves as much as possible from liability, because in all instances it is the complainant who's making a case against the respondent. And we put things out in very clear terms to both parties. I think it's the least of our problems, actually, being straightforward and without emotion as we try to resolve disputes. My name is Osaro Isokpan Jr. I am the Managing Director of Pan-West Capital Group, the primary owner of Servicebreeder. I am essentially the founder of Servicebreeder, and I'm sure at some point in future you will get to meet our Managing Director for Servicebreeder. I am a legal practitioner with over 2 decades experience in capital markets. Servicebreeder essentially is a pet project of mine, one I'm very passionate about because of the social impact and its ability to actually improve the quality of life for Nigerians, Africans, and everyone on planet Earth. I am happily married with 3 children. I am Christian. I am a proud Nigerian. I am a patriot. I do not believe in the Japa syndrome. I do everything in Nigeria, and in Nigeria I will remain. I believe that the current administration is doing a lot to improve the lot of Nigerians. We've swallowed several bitter pills, and I think we should all be patient. It is well with Nigeria. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and God bless you all.